The rural city of Wangaratta wakes on a winter's morning. Fog hangs low in the Ovens Valley. Mount Buffalo, watching as it has done for millions of years, knows what secrets lie beneath the blanket of mist. Well, it's no secret that the rural city of Wangaratta is home to many of our native animals and plants. But perhaps what is a secret is where they are found. This municipality, 2.5 hours from Melbourne, is located in northeast Victoria. It is over 4,000 square kilometres in area, from the densely forested alpine mountains to the floodplains of the Ovens and King Rivers, with dry forest to the east and west in the Warby Ranges. There are just over 2,000 kilometres of roads, including main arterial roads and a large network of local roads. Altogether, this is more than 4,000 kilometres of roadsides.
Roadsides? Never really thought about it.
Well, I suppose roadsides are just, a good question. What are roadsides? They're just a corridor for traffic.
I suppose roadsides are a place where we find a few plants that we don't find very much anymore down the paddock because we've grazed them all out.
What excites me about our roadsides is we still have some amazing plants and animals on our roadside.
Roadsides mean we can stop and have a drink after a long drive, and William can have a run around and stretch his legs.
Can you see the big white bird?
I wonder what the bird is.
Roadsides, to me, actually really show the people that live behind those roadsides.
So roadsides in many parts of our district are the one area where we can find some of our last vestige of plants and animals.
There is a lot of variation in our roadside vegetation, and it does reflect where you are in the landscape. If you're a roadside up at Whitfield or Myree, you're going to have very different vegetation to Tarrawingi, to Boorman, and your vegetation might actually be endangered. Boorman's a great example of being a plains grassy woodland ecosystem that's very, very endangered. To the untrained eye, you wouldn't realise how valuable they are.
It's definitely the case that these are jewels in the crown, I suppose, of vegetation, and it's a bit of a window into the past, and it does show the sort of vegetation that used to be once widespread across in this instance, the Boorman Plain. All right, well look, this is just a classic view of Boorman at its best, I think, in terms of the wildflowers that are out, and this is mid-spring, so we have the yellows that are predominantly the yellow bulbine lilies, which are one of those. A whole suite of other things, so there's daisies, there's lilies, there's orchids that make up to, in this particular reserve, over 100 native species. So it's a remarkable thing if we were to go. This one's called a leek orchid, and it's only found in the world in this particular reserve. The best thing that we can do is recognise that it's got its special needs, and also recognise that if we were to inadvertently spray or plough this particular piece of roadside, we'd lose it. Oh, look at this. This is fantastic. This is a rare and threatened species called purple diurus. Almost one of the icons of this particular reserve. Known historically as a widespread species right across southeastern Australia, but now restricted to linear remnants such as this and small little pockets of bushland reserve, generally in open wood. Really critical that we acknowledge the requirements of certain plants like this and again understand the cause and effect. If we disturb soil, destroy the vegetation, we'll probably only get weeds back in its place.
Practice of ploughing often opens up the soil and allows pasture grasses to take over, and these grasses might actually have a higher fuel risk than what was there before ploughing.
The biggest problem with phalaris on roadsides for us is really the fire risk. Phalaris is terrific in the paddock where you can actually manage it well, and it's great for feeding cattle, but on roadsides and where there are opportunities for native vegetation, it certainly will inhibit natural regeneration from mature. This is the roadside next to our place, and when we came here this was all phalaris or paspalum, and I guess through slashing and burning off primarily to reduce the fire risk, the kangaroo grass has moved back in. So just absolutely wonderful, and I'm really surprised people aren't actually growing kangaroo grass for florists, for decorative flower arrangements. This was all phalaris as well, and we thought it would be nice to have more privacy and to have some trees. We've got power lines, so we could only plant shrubs under the power lines. So we planted boxleaf wattle and hedge wattle and varnish wattle, and they've done really well. They're starting to really outcompete the phalaris now and keep it under control. So we just slash along the side of the road between the plants and the fence line to reduce fire hazard. There's a lot less dust in the paddocks and also in the house. Yeah, look, it's really important to use the local native plants because they just do much better, and they also attract all the native birds. They've really moved back into the area. There were no birds at all before.
If you are looking to do management activities on your roadside, it's good to get in contact with council to work out what permission you might need. There are certain things with grazing or burning that you do need to organise prior to the activity.
Burning, as we've said before, is quite an appropriate mode of management, particularly when it's timed at the right time of the year.
About 8 or 9 years ago, someone decided to have a clean-up along the road in the autumn. So they burnt it off, and they burnt it rather too early in the year, and the fire got out of control. So we've got lots of weeds come in and docks, and down there's some St John's wort. So it's actually now more of a problem to manage this than it was previously.
It's typical of the native grasslands that by and large they're relatively low and sparse in their vegetation, so they don't cause a huge amount of fire threat in the sense that they're generally not like a phalaris or paspalum or oats, which can sometimes get up to chest high.